Welcome to the Nose Rest Range. It's quiet now, but in the 1890s, this place was buzzing with picks, carts, sweat and arguments. You're standing on the ground that once held the highest hopes a miner could carry, and the kind of disappointment only gold can create. As you walk forward, look at the hill in front of you. The dark opening isn't just a hole in the rock, it's the entrance to the Joker's Tunnel, carved by men chasing a rumour. The man who started it all was William Nuttall, a prospector with more determination than luck, and a talent for naming things after card games. His lease was called the Yalgoo Joker, and the miners who came after him followed the theme: left bower, right bower, full hand and king of hearts. Everyone out here lived on hope, and hope makes people imaginative. Take a few more steps, look around the ridges. They're made of tough ironstone and quartz. Perfect places for gold to hide in tiny pockets. And when I say pockets, I mean pockets. Early reports said 50 kilos of stone could give back 3 kilos of gold. That was enough to make a man believe the fate he had personally invited him here. But the truth is, this tunnel wasn't dug by dreamers finding riches. It was dug by dreamers finding frustration. The rock was hard, the gold inconsistent, and the heat, well, you could feel that for yourself. Imagine sitting here in 1895 with no shade, no cold drink, no air conditioning ute waiting for you at the end of the day. As you get closer to the entrance, notice how the air cools down just a touch. The tunnel is short, hand-cut and stubborn. No machinery, just hammers, explosives and the patience of men who had nothing else to lose. Now that you're close to the entrance or already inside, it's worth meeting the real locals who live here all year round. Not the miners. These blokes gave up a century ago. I'm talking about the ones who didn't ask permission to live here and don't pay rent. The bats. Before you panic, relax. These aren't the movie style bats that swoop down and steal your hair gel. These are small, shy, insect eating masters of silent flight. Think of them as a tiny flying border collie who only has one job: vacuum up the mozzies and moths. They generally don't care about you unless you're a mosquito, in which case your days are numbered. If you stand up for a moment, you might hear a high-pitched squeak bounce around the stone. That's their echolocation. Nature's version of a reversing sensor. It's basically saying, well, there's a bug there, human detected, ignore, carry on. You might see the odd flutter near the roof. That's normal. If you see something bigger than your hand, well, congratulations. You've just spotted the most athletic creature in the entire Nose Rest Range. Animals love this tunnel for the same reason that miners hated it. It stays cool, it stays shaded, and it's out of the wind. If you were about living in that Yalgoo heat, you'd move here too. Think of it as the only naturally air-conditioned apartment complex in the outback, fully furnished, utilities included. If you listen carefully, you hear drops of moisture. Yes, even in Yalgoo there's water hiding in the cracks. Tiny invertebrates thrive here too: beetles, ants, crickets and spiders. Before you freak out, most of them are harmless. They're too busy living their tiny lives to bother with yours. Take a slow breath. Let the tunnel wrap around you for a moment. This is one of those rare spots where the past hasn't been polished up or fenced off. No guide rails, no gift shop, no dramatised tour where someone jumps out wearing a 19th century outfit, just to rock, bats and your imagination. The miners carved this place looking for gold. The bats moved in looking for dinner. And you, well, you came here looking for something too. Maybe a story, maybe a bit of adventure, maybe just a good photo for the family and the group chat. Whatever it is, you're inside one of those strange little corners of Western Australia where history doesn't bother cleaning up after itself. And that's why the place feels alive. Now, before you go any further, let's talk about the real population explosion in the tunnel. Not the bats, not the gecko. I'm talking about the crickets. You'll notice them pretty quickly. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of the little blokes clinging to the roof like they've taken an out-of-term long lease. They just sit there in absolute silence, judging you like tiny little outback landlords. Why so many? Simple. The tunnel is cool, dark and holds moisture. In a cricket world, that's basically a 5-star resort with a buffet breakfast. They don't want your attention. They just want to hang up upside down and vibe. But here's the thing, only sometimes when a person walks through, one cricket will shift its leg, another one they shift too, and then suddenly you get this soft cascading whisper above your head, just a ripple of movement, harmless, completely normal. Unfortunately, tourists don't always interpret it this way. There's this one bloke, big fella, 5'0" type, arms like fence posts, and come here last year, walked in all confident, then he looked up, saw the ceiling moving very slightly, and he absolutely folded, sprinted through the tunnel like he was escaping a tax audit. Got out of the other side, refused to come back through, and instead of walking all the way around the hill in the sun, 38 degrees, flies everywhere, just to avoid passing under a few tiny crickets. And meanwhile, the crickets didn't even blink. If crickets could blink, that is. Another family came through. Kids loved it. Mum was fine. Dad pretended he was fine. He wasn't fine. He tried to act casual, but you would see the shuffle running, forming in his boots. He kept on saying, "It's all good, it's all good." And then he heard the cricket drop somewhere behind him, and suddenly he was halfway out the exit without consulting the rest of the group. To be fair, the crickets do catch people off guard. There's something unsettling about seeing that many legs and antennas all politely hanging above your head like an audience waiting for the next move. But they're harmless, truly. They're too busy living their best tunnel life, eating bugs, dodging geckos, and occasionally scaring grown adults who claim they don't scare easy. So, as you walk through, if you hear a slight rustle, remember, it's not danger. It's not the Joker's ghost, and it's a bunch of crickets shifting position, probably thinking, here comes another human who's about to lose their mind over absolutely nothing. And if you end up deciding you don't want to walk back through there later, don't worry. Maybe the first person preferred the heat, the summer, and the uphill slog over the mild emotional challenge of sharing a tunnel with the tiniest, chilliest creatures in Australia. Way to go, man. We've done it. We've done it. Step out of the tunnel, or before you head in, take a minute to look around. This isn't just a hole in the hill. The whole area around Joker's Tunnel is dotted with little pockets of history and nature that most people walk straight past while arguing about the flies or phone reception. Start by looking to the right. See how the low rock shelf halfway up the slope? That's where miners used to call a false floor. A natural bench where loose stones settle after the rain. Doesn't look like much, but if you sit there quietly, you'll spot geckos doing their nightly patrols like tiny security guards. This is also the spot where prospectors swear that they find floater quartz, though wherever it floats or not, it depends on how many beers they've had. Walk a little bit further out from the entrance. You'll see small pockets of quartz glistening in the dirt, tiny shards washed down from the range over decades. These little quartz patches mark the natural drainage channels. After rain, water races down these lines carrying soil, seeds and the occasional gold fragment. If you board a detector, this is where you slow down and pretend you know exactly what you're doing. Up near the entrance, look at the rock face. There are shallow hand-cut nooks where miners wedge lanterns or stored fuses. Imagine working this place by candlelight, with the rock swallowing the flame like it owed it money. No high-vis, no safety briefing, no report hazards to the supervisor, just sheer stubbornness and the hope of finding a streak of yellow metal. From Geraldton to Mount Magnet, there's so many nooks and crannies that you will just be excited to have a look at. And you won't be disappointed.